Hiya everyone, Auntie Lexi here. JRPGs come in all shapes and sizes. Some thrive on deep customization, while others lean into defined roles. Both approaches have their place. But every so often, it's refreshing to see a game that reminds us that the challenge isn't about building the solution yourself, but about discovering what works within the tools you've already been given. Quartet looks back to that older style of design, and it's not about making things easier. It's about drawing you closer to your characters, because the more you understand their abilities, their spells, and their quirks, the more meaningful your connection with them becomes. At its core, Quartet is about a centuries-old conflict over the fate of magic, one that has literally reshaped the world. Quartet begins with a short prologue, then quickly opens into 4 distinct tales, each introducing a pair of protagonists with their own challenges. A string of audacious train robberies pointing to a government conspiracy. A techy young woman who inherits a deck of cards that reveals visions of another world. Airships scorching the imperial frontier as a soldier is drawn into a hunt for rogue mages. And an everyday cook whose late-blooming powers upend his life. You can play these stories in any order, and at first, they couldn't feel more different. Some are lighthearted, others tense or even tragic. But those contrasts are the point. Each tale offers a unique perspective on the world, and together, they form the foundation of the larger mystery that slowly comes into view. It's a structure that might remind you of Octopath Traveler. But unlike Octopath's loosely connected journeys, all of this is woven into the main narrative. That makes the way these characters come together feel far more organic, and more importantly, it ensures you understand who they are before they stand against something bigger than themselves. By now you're probably wondering, how old school does Quartet really get? Battles are built on a straightforward foundation. 4 elemental magics and 3 physical attack types define every character's strengths and weaknesses. On the surface, it's simple, but the way you manage your resources is where the tension comes in. Every special move costs AP, and while it's a finite resource, Quartet gives you plenty of ways to get it back without burning through items. Defending restores AP. Certain actions and battle events can replenish a portion of it, and characters on the bench recover even faster. That creates a delicate balance of offense and defense. You're free to use your strongest abilities often, but you still have to pace yourself so you don't run dry. The key is that it never feels punishing. Instead, it encourages smart play without ever discouraging you from being bold. And while your HP and AP don't automatically recover after combat, status effects do clear so that each fight feels self-contained, with only your remaining resources carrying forward into the next. And while Quartet wears its old-school inspiration proudly, it's not blind to the needs of players today. The ability to tag characters in and out mid-battle, for example, isn't just a cool nod to Final Fantasy X. It keeps every party member relevant and makes the AP system flow more smoothly. Buff and debuff icons are always visible, which cuts down on guesswork and lets you make decisions faster. The turn order timeline gives you room to plan ahead, and seeing enemies directly on the field avoids the frustration of random encounters. Most importantly, the ability to save anywhere signals the game's confidence. Battles can be tough, but you're trusted to prepare and challenge them on your own terms. And when you do run into those glowing spots that fully restore HP and AP, they act like the save points of classic RPGs, quietly telling you that a boss or major event is just around the corner. These touches don't erase the challenge. Instead, they make the difficulty feel fair, and that's exactly the balance JRPG fans have come to value. And while those modern touches make battles smoother, character growth still keeps things simple. Quartet does offer customization, but it never overwhelms you with layers of systems or branching build paths to track. Leveling is straightforward. You gain experience, reach a new level, and occasionally unlock new abilities. The game doesn't tell you what's coming next, and that mystery actually makes each level up exciting. Every new skill feels like a little surprise, pushing you to see how it changes your approach in battle. Beyond that, most of the customization comes from equipment. Weapons, armor, and accessories still provide the expected stat boosts, but they can also influence how your characters perform, like increasing AP regeneration or cutting elemental damage in half. These tweaks are meaningful without being overcomplicated, letting you shape your party in small but impactful ways. It's enough to keep battles fresh, but never so much that it distracts from simply understanding how your characters work together. And that focus on understanding your characters carries directly into how the story is structured. Quartet lets you choose one of 4 storylines to begin with, and each one pairs 2 characters together. In those early hours, you're not just learning about their personalities or their struggles, you're also seeing how they fight, and more importantly, how they complement each other. These smaller pairings act like natural tutorials, letting you discover each character's strengths and weaknesses through play rather than through menus or pop-ups. By the time the stories begin to intertwine and all 8 characters join forces, you already understand how each of them works. There's no need for extra teaching. You're confidently swapping them in and out, leaning on their abilities at the right moments, and tackling harder battles with an understanding of how your party functions as a whole. It's storytelling and gameplay working together to make synergy something you experience intuitively, not something the game has to explain. All of these systems build toward a simple fact. Quartet embraces its old-school roots and shows how fresh they can still feel. The fundamentals are handled with such confidence that battles, progression, and even customization feel rewarding without ever tipping into excess. That steady refinement gives the game a rhythm that feels both classic and modern, honoring the roots of the genre while quietly improving them in ways that make sense today. It's approachable because it doesn't drown you in options, yet engaging because the choices you do make, how you equip your party, when to spend or recover AP, which strengths to lean on, matter all the more within those limits. And by borrowing the best ideas from across JRPG history and refining them with modern sensibilities, Quartet proves that the fundamentals themselves can still feel sharp and satisfying today. Visually, Quartet feels like a bridge between eras. The character sprites seem to be proportioned in between the sizes of characters from Final Fantasy IV and VI, but animated with the liveliness and expressiveness you'd expect from the latter. That extra detail goes a long way in making every gesture and every reaction more relatable, giving its characters a surprising amount of presence. The environments lean on bold outlines and saturated colors, with some of the most rich and densely detailed environments I've seen in 2D games. From the clever use of gradients on the rooftops to the way battle screens are staged, the art direction constantly asks, what if a game like Final Fantasy IV had access to modern technology? The result is some of the most visually striking sprite work in years. Distinct, expressive, and full of personality. That same care extends into the dungeons, which are designed with a classic sensibility, but presented in a way that feels approachable and rewarding. Each one is layered with hidden paths that lead to useful items, rewarding your curiosity as you search every corner. Some even contain light puzzles that break up exploration, but they're never meant to stump you, just enough to add variety without slowing you down. And because enemies are visible on the field and you can save anywhere, you're never locked into a fixed pace the way you are in games with random encounters or limited save points. Instead, exploration feels digestible and never overwhelming, letting the design highlight the fun of discovery rather than the frustration of repetition. The soundtrack completes the picture by giving each scenario its own distinct flavor. Cordelia's chapters carry a Western twang. Alexandra's are underscored by jazzy, urban beats. And other arcs lean into mischievous or even militaristic tones. Each theme anchors its storyline in a clear identity while still keeping the larger world cohesive. There are even flourishes reminiscent of Final Fantasy VI's soundtrack. Which, when paired with the game's multi-scenario structure and expressive presentation, explains why so many comparisons are drawn to that classic. And it's the synergy of the visuals, level design, and soundtrack that gives Quartet a sense of personality and cohesion that few games in the genre capture so well. Quartet may feel like a relic from another time, but playing it feels like something more. It takes the best parts of those old RPGs we grew up with, the simple joy of turn-based battles, the charm of pixel characters, the sense of discovery, and polishes them with decades of lessons learned. It's not trying to trick you into thinking that it was made in the 90s. Instead, it carries the heart of that era forward, reminding you of why you fell in love with the genre in the first place. In some ways, it even leans on nostalgia, capturing that rosier memory of the past, while quietly fixing what was rough about it. And that's what makes it so special. It feels both timeless and brand new, a rare balance that makes Quartet one of the most memorable turn-based RPGs I've played this year.